That movie sucked.
I kind of liked it.
Movie Night Crew Network.
Welcome to the restricted section where we love our trans friends.
Oh,
Woo!
really?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah,
I feel so loved.
We do. I am very excited to be joined today by my beloved friend, Grace. Say hello to the listeners, Grace.
Hello, listeners.
How have you been, Grace?
Oh, guys, not great. I'm a little bit under the weather today, but being here with you is making it all better. So thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, I just wanted to give you the opportunity to explain why your voice is a little
All of
stuffed
this?
up. Yeah,
Yes.
It's better to just get out of the way at the beginning
Yeah.
so that people aren't throughout the episode like, is Grace okay? Is she crying?
For the record, I am okay.
And, of course, we are so excited to be joined today by our friend Charlie. Say hello to the listeners, Charlie.
Hello to the listeners, Charlie.
I recently on our Patreon bonus feed said I was going to stop introducing you, but I think that you deserve an introduction right now because you are the one of the co-hosts of The Eldest Gods, which is, you want to tell everyone like what changes are happening over there right now?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, one, we're starting a new book, finally. Season 3, and I got a new co-host for the podcast.
So excited.
Finally.
Tell us about them.
Well, Ray is wonderful. Met them through stalking their Barbie podcast, Barbie Movie Slap. It's a fun time. Very good shit.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, we just became friends through other Barbie podcasters.
Yes, internet friends are the
Nice.
best.
And I was just like, well, they actually approached me. That's the fun thing about this. So like, I posted, oh yeah, I'm still looking for like a new co-host for the pod, and then they were like, I might possibly be interested in that. Like, let me figure out some schedule things, but like, yeah, like I'd probably be down. So that's fun.
That's awesome.
You actually get approached by
Amazing.
someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we love Ray so much, so I'm very excited to hear the start of the new season.
Welcome to the family, Ray.
Yeah. And we miss Taylor, but not really because I still talk to her every day.
Taylor is wonderful.
Taylor's
She's still
wonderful.
around.
Taylor's now, yeah, her main role in the network now is pod mom. What do you need, honey?
She's the secretary.
She's secretary. I think we call them administrative assist tailors now.
No, it's secretary. That's her nickname in the Discord. Ray Taylor and I literally coined that in the episode we all did together.
That's very fun. And I
Cute.
love that y'all had like an episode where Taylor got the opportunity to pass the torch along to Ray. That's very cute and symbolic. You know, I love some symbolism.
It was very good and fun. I liked it.
And I'm sure you'll hear. Ooh, that's a hard one. I'm sure you'll hear Taylor's dulcet tones all over this network for the rest of time.
Oh,
So
yeah. They've already
get ready
claimed
for
an
that.
episode for Titan's Curse, so.
Awesome.
Nice.
So I did a bad job of doing this in our last episode, but happy Pride, everyone.
Woo!
Woo!
Very exciting. I'm personally a personality trait about myself is that I'm a bragger, and when I do anything, I love to tell everyone I know about it. So I bought my first By Pride shirt this year, and I'm very excited about that.
Yay.
I love that for you.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you so much.
I can't wait to see it.
Someday you'll catch up to the amount of Pride things I have.
I actually feel like one is enough. Well,
Wow.
I have my I forget what it's called. It's like the inclusive pride flag.
Okay, so I've been to your house. I've seen it. So it's,
Yeah.
I believe it's the progressive one. Is the term for it?
Shouldn't all
Yeah.
pride flags be inclusive and progressive? Just saying.
Yeah, it's the one with like the rainbow and like the trans, and then also the brown and the black
Yes.
on there. Yeah.
Yes. So I have that in my home, and then I made myself a By Pride necklace like a friendship bracelet situation.
Aww.
And I bought this t-shirt. So I actually have 3 things now.
I think I have like 100 things. You'll catch up to me maybe someday.
Maybe. Well, the flag isn't even, I bought the flag so that I just wanted, because I have parties at my house and stuff, and I just, some new people come to my house kind of frequently, and I just want everyone to know that, like, you're in a safe place. Like, I don't want that to be up for debate, you know? It's like, you post that out on the wall.
I just want to...
For sure.
This won't be good for the listeners, but I just wanted to share this because I got this at a con recently. It's like
it's
a
cute.
It's a little medal.
It looks like a prefect's badge.
I mean, yeah, it kind of does. It's a little medal. It's got, for the listeners, it's got like a trans flag, little like ribbon, and then it's got like the little trans logo. It's all very pretty.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
When you
I
were
like
facing
that.
the other way, Charlie, I was like, did Charlie forget to wear headphones? But then you moved, and I saw that you had it in the other ear. I was like, do I need to tell them how to podcast?
Stealth mode.
No, I always put in one, cause like then I can like hear the outside worlds. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm,
I feel you. I'm the opposite. I like to pretend, because if I hear my cats coming, I'll look at them, and then they're like, oh, she's looking at me. That means something, and it doesn't. It means fuck off. So.
And then also with AirPods, you gotta have like one charging so that like if this one dies, I can just swap.
That is
Wow.
madness. I would never do anything to myself to make it so that my AirPods weren't exactly the same amount of charged at all times.
See, I just live with these things on, so I've learned
This is
how to
chaos.
maximize the amount of charge.
Yeah,
Christ.
that makes sense.
You're a genius. An evil genius.
I am, in fact. This is canon.
So we're here today to talk about
A
fix
thing.
the book, Sorted, Growing Up, Coming Out, and Finding My Place, a Transgender Memoir by Jackson Bird. And I first heard about this book from Charlie. Charlie, can you
Whoa.
tell us a little bit about Sorted and how you found out about it and why you recommended it to me?
Well, Sorted, it's about this like very, very special boy named Jackson Bird.
Jackson Bird was a very special boy.
It's a trans memoir, It's his story of how he figured out like throughout his entire life, just all the little things that were like, this kind of gave me little inklings that I was different, and like as it goes on, it's like, yeah, I realized I was trans. And then like it takes you through his transition like a little bit until like a certain point. But like I like it. It's very fun.
So why is it called Sorted?
Well, that's the reason why I told you that we should cover this on the restricted section, because
Yes.
I mean, for some reason my brain was like, oh yeah, there's like a lot of Harry Potter in it. It's like there is, but there isn't.
So for much of the book, he works and or volunteers for what was formerly the Harry Potter Alliance.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of Harry Potter discourse in the background of this book.
Yeah, it's just like sometimes there's a picture in the book where it's like, I'm cosplaying as Sirius Black here.
Oh my God.
Or
Wait,
like-
there's some great pictures in this book.
There are. I love the pictures. Yeah, it's just like always talking about, oh yeah, I was this nerd who just like really liked Harry Potter, like, and it's sorted because God, the front cover is like the best part of this book. Grace, have you seen the front cover?
It's very
I
good.
have. I did listen to the audiobook, but I was able to see the front cover. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the front cover because it's just like it's got the check marks, male, female, and then like you can, if you've got it, you just want to like take off the little eraser marks on the female check mark.
I definitely
Yeah.
tried to brush them off more than once.
It's so funny to me because I always want to do it too, and that's just perfect. And it's just we sort too soon, as one might say.
It says it on the back cover.
It does, in fact. That's why I said it.
As the back cover might say.
As Albus Dumbledore himself might say.
How did you learn about this book, Charlie?
Because I follow Jackson Bird.
Oh, nice.
That's cool. So did you watch a lot of Jackson's YouTube videos and stuff?
Yeah, so not like before transition things.
Okay.
If you don't know, hi, I'm trans, mask, and non-binary. So
Oh my god. I can't believe it.
yeah. So I kind of like fell into a lot of like trans guy stuff on YouTube. Just like it started being recommended to me and I started watching stuff. So I follow
Cool.
people like Jackson, and
love
there's
that.
also like Jamie Dodger who does cool stuff. Just like a lot of like trans stuff so I could get like tips and tricks on like binders and other sorts of things. It's great.
Yeah. That's an awesome resource.
Did you follow Alex Birdie
No.
by any chance?
No.
He's another trans YouTuber whose memoir I read. It's called Transmission. I had to say it. It's two separate words, but
Yeah, I
Love that
understand this
title.
joke
Mhm.
because that's a podcast that Jackson had at one
yeah,
point.
yeah,
Yeah.
Transmission.
And now I'm wondering if Alex Birdie talked about Jackson Bird and like maybe that wordplay in his memoir, but I didn't know who Jackson was at the time. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I did in fact meet Jackson at LeakCon
Oh, yeah.
a couple years
What?
back, and I got him to sign my book because
That's cool.
I'm a huge ass nerd, and I was dressed up as young Harry in like the oversized plaid shirt.
Nice. It's a good one.
You're like, joke's on you. I'm actually in my pajamas.
It's a fun outfit because I just get to wear like oversized clothing, and
Yeah.
it's great.
So comfy.
Very 90s.
So Grace, you listened to this on audiobook,
I did.
but Charlie, you read the print, right?
Yeah.
I read the print as well. What did Jackson narrate the audiobook?
Jackson did narrate the audiobook, which I thought was very awesome.
I think that's really kind of the only way to go with memoir.
100%.
Like how do you
Yeah.
not do that?
Who would you have narrate your memoir?
Right. You can't hire an actor to narrate your
I'd be
memoir.
so mad.
I just can't like ask Morgan Freeman to narrate my memoir. Like that's not how it works.
Wait, Charlie. Wait, I think you're onto something.
Yeah, actually, I take back everything I just said.
Write that down for later.
I definitely heard Jackson's voice in my head just because I know it well enough
Yeah,
that I was
that's
like,
cool.
I could do it.
So, Grace, did you listen to this at work while you were caking?
I did. Yeah.
Ooh.
Guys, I don't know if I've told you recently that I don't know if I've told you that recently I got a new job at a brewery, maybe like a mile from my house, and I walk to work, and every day when I get to walk past Grace's work and I see her little ponytail and her little icing hands.
Just covered in ice.
And I kind of never say hi because I'm like, oh, that looks like she's dealing with something. And I'm just like,
Probably
oh, my
am.
little girl, and I keep walking.
You should always just do a little tap. Just do a little tap.
I check every time. I'm like, she's really concentrating on whatever that is.
Well, I feel your presence and
Okay,
your
good.
support.
And
So
next
thank you.
Next time I tap, don't come outside. Just wave. We'll just wave.
Okay, we'll just do a wave. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be
I'll
an
blow you a
ordeal. Okay, great.
So how was the narration? Do you feel like it added to the memoir the fact that it was being read to you by the author?
Yeah, I definitely do. I think that Jackson did an awesome job narrating the audiobook. I mean, obviously he has a lot of speaking experience,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which I'm sure came in handy. But yeah, it was delivered very well, and it made me feel like an already personal story was made even more personal. So
Oh, I love
I
that.
definitely recommend the audiobook if you haven't listened to it.
Oh my god, it's like you're just like buddying up with a pal.
Exactly.
You're like, tell me about your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't listen to audiobooks, but I feel like I definitely would for something like this. Like,
Yeah.
Some books that I've come
good.
across in my life are very better as audiobooks.
Mm-hmm.
And I think memoirs.
Yeah.
That
I am sad
tend
though,
to.
because it sounds like the book has a lot of like images and stuff like that.
Oh
could've
yeah, that
been
was going to
fun,
be my
but-
next question. Well, so basically, Grace, when I see you next, we can just flip through it because
Yeah, I definitely want
definitely. You
I
gotta-
mean, in the beginning of the book, a lot of the pictures are like see, look at me, I was a girl, and it was fucking weird, basically. But
Yeah.
especially once it gets into the middle, when he's in like college and stuff, and he's like doing fun stuff. Some of the pictures are pretty funny. Like that, like
Yeah.
all of the cosplay is like very fun. He always like contextualizes the photos too, which is helpful. You know, he's like, oh, I actually felt pretty cute on this day, or he's like, this was a nightmare photo. Oh my god,
Yeah.
or this one photo of his dad's wedding when there was like a
Oh
wildfire.
yeah, the wildfire.
I
Yeah.
just flipped past
Yeah.
that. Metaphor
Oh my
for my life.
gosh.
That's summer question mark. And then I wonder, Grace, in the print book, there are some sections that are set out from, it was excerpts from Jackson's journal that were like in this handwriting font, and sometimes they were on like little separate pieces of paper, you know, like little separate sections. So like,
Yeah.
did he just read that? Was he like, this is a note now?
I
Oh,
don't
didn't even
remember
notice.
if that was just like part of the regular text.
That means they did it good if she doesn't even remember how they did
Exactly.
it.
Yeah, seamless. Really good. Yeah, no, I think that it was sort of just read as part of the text. Maybe there was like a short line that was like, you know, from my journal from this time or something like that, but
Yeah.
it wasn't weird or anything.
Good. Well, good. I'm glad to hear
Wasn't weird.
And then there's like those blocks of like the gray text and everything that's like explaining stuff.
Yeah, so basically this was, you know, memoirs are written kind of like novels, you know, they're narrative. Occasionally there's dialogue, and all of the dialogue is assumed to be like, you know, paraphrasing.
Mhm.
And then Sorted had, as I mentioned, set aside like little journal excerpts from Jackson, along with some photos, sometimes sometimes by themselves. And then, yeah, like Charlie said, there was also almost like textbooky, but in like a cute way, sections set aside to like delve into like a trans concept that you might not be familiar with, and like, let me explain it to you. And that was so cool.
Yeah, and did y'all start out with like kind of definitions?
Yes. It's
They
in
did.
there.
Okay, cool.
Did.
Yeah.
It's like the first like thing in there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very cool. So, well, and also it comes with a disclaimer that like Jackson is like, a lot of this language, you know, means different things to different people, and like, here's some general definitions, but like also don't assume anything, and there's a lot of complexity and variance to each term and to the relationship between it and each individual it may apply to.
Yeah.
The more research you do and the more willing you are to listen to new information, the better. That's a thesis statement of life, I guess. So I've read a couple books like this. They're almost like beginners level transgender memoirs, where I think a lot of the intended audience is kids who are looking for resources as they're questioning their gender, and for adults who are like dealing with their trans children to kind of like learn and get a firsthand experience and try to understand better. It's almost like a beginner, so you want to learn about trans stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's so cool that these books exist. And I've read, like I said, a couple. I read Alex Birdie's Transmission and a couple others before that. That was maybe like a year or two ago. And yeah, it is very cool the way it's like, a lot of this can be confusing. So let me just like explain the whole thing to you pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought I thought the educational element was very cool. I think that it read as very endearing and like welcoming, and like, you know, it felt very non-judgmental. Sort of like, no matter who is reading this book, no matter like what your understanding is, it sort of like met you where you were.
Yeah.
And I found that to be just like a really nice, it was just so nice
It was very pleasant.
the whole time. I was like,
yeah,
man.
well, and like honestly, like even, I mean, he goes through a lot of shit when he's questioning his gender and trying to figure it out. But it's like, in the back of your head, you're like, well, he figures it out.
Yeah,
Eventually,
like,
it's like, I know he's
in
gonna
the
be
end,
okay.
It's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
It
like,
gets
you
better.
know, it gets
Exactly.
better. Yeah. And so like, obviously, because, you know, I have a lot of queer friends, and I work in language as a living. So it's like a lot of the terminology, they were like doing like, here's your little introduction to like what this word means. A lot of it like I knew already, but I think it's cool to get also like the added context for every subject that he brought up. He's like, here's my take on it. Here's like my understanding of the community's take on it. Here's like the technical definition. And so it does kind of give you like all the information you need.
Yeah.
Yeah, I on this reread, I will say I did definitely skip most of the gray things just because I was like, yeah,
You're like, I know.
Point,
Charlie's like,
I know
let me
what's
read
going
this
on.
definition of non-binary according to Webster's dictionary.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's there if you need it, and if you don't need it, just move right along.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, a lot of this book is like Jackson. I would say like the first half of it is Jackson's childhood, and the second half of it is his like college and just the very beginning
College
of
and
adulthood after
on.
college.
It's still like yeah, 25 is when he comes out, it says here. So like
Yeah, so a lot of the first half was about like his childhood just like not feeling quite right, you know? And like things coming up that were like, why is this an issue? Like the dresses thing, you know, like that this is a fucking issue for me. And like the mom just being like, why? You know, like, why are you like this?
Some kids just are, man.
Well, that's the thing. Some kids just are like this, and some kids are questioning their gender. And that's why it's good to have open communication and resources like this.
Yeah. And I felt like there were some cool moments where, you know, his mom had, you know, sewed him a dress. And, you know, very clearly he was not cool with that.
I think it was an Easter dress, right?
Yeah,
which is
like an
the
Easter
worst
dress.
kind of dress.
Yeah.
For someone who doesn't like dresses, that's the worst.
It's like the frilliest kind. But then after that, his mom started sewing like little waistcoats.
Oh my God. The waistcoats were so cute.
I'm jealous. I'm like legit jealous the fact that he got to swap to waistcoats instead of dresses.
And just right off the bat, I think we should shout out Jackson's mom, whose name I don't remember, because she really tries her best in this memoir. Like she really does. She keeps a listening ear. She like does her best not to judge. I think she says a couple things in passing when he's really young that she probably wasn't thinking too hard about.
Yeah.
Yes.
But generally, when it comes to it, she's like, I support your choices. I will make you waistcoats. Like, I will listen to you. Try to come out to me as trans for like 3 hours, which is like such a cute scene.
Yeah.
So yeah, the dad's like not as much in the picture. I think that after Jackson moves away to college, his parents got divorced. So it's like the mom takes a lot.
And then the
of
mom moved to like
burden.
New Mexico.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Go visit your mom in the mountains of New Mexico.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome. Whenever my friends are trying to move away, I'm like, I will miss you so much, but you should go, and I will come there.
I will visit you.
I even tried to convince Sean to take a road trip up, through Boston to Canada this summer, but he said we're doing Nashville instead, so that's fine.
Well, Sean, how fucking dare you?
Sean's ex-girlfriend is from Canada, and her name was also Christina.
Wow.
And she was my same height, and she broke up with him for being too short. So you can say I'm a good person.
Well, fuck her for that.
Wow.
So I think Sean's like, I can't take this Christina to Canada. That doesn't add up.
He's like, that's not how any of that worked.
So one thing I thought was really cool in the beginning is that Jackson talks about how he used acting as a way of like exploring not only gender, but also just like personality expression at large. And I thought that was so cool.
Yeah. Ironically, hey, I also was an actor at like some points in my childhood.
That's fun.
It didn't last for very long because when I was like 13, I think that was my last year of like it was like a acting thing outside of school. My mom and I really hated the fact that my teacher basically gave me hooker makeup for like my last play. So we were just like, we're gonna stop doing that program. And then I never got into it at school because I
I'm so
hated
sorry,
auditions as like a thing.
I just thought of that Dolly Parton quote where she's like, "Costs a lot of money to look this cheap."
I love Dolly. Oh my gosh.
That's awesome. So you did acting too, Grace. Do you have any like theater experience?
Absolutely not.
It's not your energy.
Do not.
It's
That
not really
is
Charlie's
my
energy too, but
worst
that's nice.
nightmare.
Yeah. I just,
Being on a stage in front of people, I cannot think of anything worse.
Okay, so here's a fun thing. Well, some of my
Is
plays
it
like
fun?
at this program were like filmed and everything. We still have those.
That's fun. That is fun.
And God, my mom distinctly remembers how I used to like basically memorize the entire script, and when I wasn't the one speaking, I would mouth what everybody else had to say while they were
Oh my
saying
God.
it.
Aww.
So, and we have photographic evidence.
That reminds me that I watched Monty Python and the Holy Grail with Andrew the other day, and it was his birthday, so I told him that he was allowed to quote every single line, and he did.
What a gift.
But it's like I wouldn't study
And
the
then Haley
script.
were reciting the whole thing.
Oh my gosh.
I
What'd
wouldn't
you say,
study
Charlie?
this. I wouldn't study the script till like way later. Like I was one of the. I'm a procrastinator. You know this
Okay.
about me. So like,
I
like,
do.
but then I would finally like learn it, and then I would know all of it. So like,
Wow. Very
Wow.
serious.
it was just. I
I did theater in high school. I like took it as a credited course, and I did after school theater.
I didn't take theater in college, but I did take playwriting. 2 playwriting courses.
Ooh,
So I
that's
wrote
cool.
A couple plays.
Do you like playwriting?
Playwriting is actually pretty good. I prefer prose, but like I liked playwriting because I love dialogue. Dialogue is great.
Fair
Fair enough.
I like that playwriting forces you to have good dialogue. It's like
Yeah.
there's nothing else.
Like
Man, we should make our authors do that as an exercise, Grace.
that is so true. Like a
should.
little playwriting prompt.
Yeah, yep.
I prefer dialogue.
I was not a very good actor. I did a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and I think that I was not a very good actor because I personally have a problem where I am a super transparent person, and I'm always the exact same person. Like it's very hard for me to be like professional for work. It's very hard for me to not swear in front of babies. Like I'm not very good at becoming a different person. So like
Mhm.
I would be like Nicolas Cage if I were an actor, where it's like you can have Nicolas Cage in your movie if you want this person who is Nicolas Cage to be the character in your movie. Like there's not a lot
Christina.
of wiggle room.
You're just so unabashedly, authentically yourself, and I
Yeah.
respect the hell out
Me
of
and
it.
Nick, baby.
Yeah, I was about to say
Um,
that. You're just
So I'm
you.
really bad at acting because I'm always just kind of like laughing and screaming at people.
Didn't you win an award for like set design or something?
Oh my God, Grace. Thank you so much for bringing it up. I would love to brag about the one award I ever won in my life. Yes, when I was in 12th grade, I was in 11th grade, I did win a Cappy's Award, which is the DC Metro High School Theater competition or contest, for the set decoration of the musical comedy Murders of 1940, which is a great play that involved like hidden bookcases and like trapdoors and stuff. It was
Ooh.
a very cool set that I've
Yeah.
loved a lot. I would
You
love to
should
look
brag
for a
about that.
picture.
That's
Thank you so
very
much. It's
cool.
the best thing I've ever done.
I love
How
it.
do we get here? I'm a terrible
I don't
actor.
know.
So can't really relate to like the concept of like using acting as a way to exploring being another person. So I think that's like so cool. First of all, that people can act, and that
Yes.
Jackson found an outlet through it as a kid.
Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. If I could compare my journey to that, I definitely
Please
use
do.
cosplay a bit more
Oh,
for
yeah.
that kind
Okay.
of stuff. Like, yes,
Yeah.
acting was a thing, but I was not really like at that level for like I don't know. I wasn't mentally thinking about gender in terms of acting. I was just like, I'm just a character.
Yeah, people are people.
Like mentally, I wasn't super into that part of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But when I started like trying to cosplay, it's just, wanted to be a lot of guys because they had comfortable outfits more than girls.
Nice. Oh yeah, it's true.
So true.
My little wish list for Halloween costumes, you know, I'm like, what am I going to be for Halloween in like 4 months or whatever? I do have a couple guys on there because I'm like, the billowy shirt game is strong. I guess they're both pirates or something.
Nice.
Pirates are great though. Pirates are also
No, they are
wrong.
for sure.
Pirates are also queer. Regardless of our flag being death.
Charlie, you probably also really upgraded your pocket space when you started wearing mask clothes for cosplay purposes.
Yeah, because I also just started wearing men's jeans in general.
Yeah.
Because
They're just built different.
my mom's just like, yeah, why don't you like wear this old pair of my jeans? And I'm like, your jeans don't have pockets. I can't put my phone in there. And she's like, I have back pockets. I don't put my phone in my back pocket.
Oh, I do. I sit on it
Yeah, I
a lot,
do.
but I have a really squishy butt.
I'll
so
sit
it's
on
okay.
my wallet, not my phone. I don't know.
That
That's
is a
just-
very mask energy. I would never sit on my wallet. My wallet's like a fatty right now. I think that's maybe my
Wow,
problem is
brag.
that I tote things.
You tote things?
Yeah, I stay toting, so it's like no pocket will ever suffice.
Yeah, you need a whole bag.
I wrote down chapter 6 was called The Transmasculine Invisibility Cloak. So that's
Yeah.
like a great example of how Harry Potter is like kind of built into the world of this memoir.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also just
Yeah,
love
I was
these
reading-
titles so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the chapter titles are very fun.
Yep.
But I can't remember. I don't know if this is exactly right. So if y'all know, please correct me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that they came up with the title kind of late. It sounded like I think maybe the book was like pretty close to being published
Oh
before.
shit! It
they
is hard. What do you
actually-
name it?
Well, I can't remember. Man, I wish I still had it pulled up. But they had gone through, Jackson and a group of people had gone through a number of kind of funny titles. A lot of them were like bird puns,
Oh, nice.
which I thought was funny. And then someone had mentioned sordid, and he kind of brushed it off as like cheesy or corny or whatever, and sort of, and then like later revisited it and was like, I think had been hesitant because there originally wasn't as much Harry Potter content in the book, because I think he was sort of resistant to admitting exactly how much Harry Potter had impacted his whole journey. And so
Wow.
I don't know if they ended up going back and like they must have gone back and sort of baked in some of this Harry Potter stuff that we see now, at least more of it. But I thought that was really interesting because it totally read like the title was like the first thing that
Yeah.
they started
Yeah.
with or something.
I do see in the acknowledgments it says that thank you, Katie Riley, for originally coming up with the title of this book, but mostly for feeding me while I wrote it.
There you go.
So I want to say that's probably his roommate, maybe?
I think that like being hesitant, I mean, even in like a pre J.K. Rowling Harry Potter fan, pre all that, I think it still is like kind of like a really strong personality choice to be like Harry Potter is like the whole story. Like Harry Potter means like this much to me.
Yeah.
And so like I totally understand Jackson getting like a real like a book deal. Like this is something he's never had before, and being like, okay, I have to take this seriously. Like I can't
Yeah,
just
like,
be
tone it
gushing about
down.
Harry Potter the whole time.
Like-
Yeah.
Like, imagine if my trans memoir was claimed for Percy checks.
Oh my god.
I did also think that one part, sorry, it just reminded me, when Jackson was thinking about different names and stuff, different possible names,
Oh,
and
yeah.
his mom had said like, oh, well, I was originally gonna, name you, if you were a boy,
Oh my
Harrison,
god.
which of course shortened to Harry, and then Jackson was like, I could never.
Yeah.
People are gonna think I am losing it.
That's very funny. I'm in
Yeah,
a
I thought that was
Facebook
funny.
group called Your Children Are Not Billboards for Your Fandoms, and it's like a name shaming group
Oh
where people
my
are like, my
gosh.
friend straight up named her baby Khaleesi. Like, can you believe it? No, so many children are named Khaleesi. That's not even
No.
her name.
Oh
Anyway.
no.
Oh my god.
Yikes.
Okay.
So yeah, I understand the fear of being called Harry as like a big Harry Potter fan.
God, I have
I
like
love it.
I have personal things about like the whole like naming situation going on. Oh my god. So yeah, I don't want to like make this all about like my trans experience because we're talking about that.
Do
But like,
it.
Please
I
Because
do.
relate.
Grace and I don't have trans experiences.
I know you
so
don't,
It's all you.
but I just relate to some of this stuff in here, where he's
Mhm.
like, oh yeah, I came up with the whole like Jack name because like basically like this Mary Sue character that I made up, and I'm just like, bro, why are you stealing my experience here? That's kind of where Charlie came from.
I love that.
Aw.
I had like a Mary Sue self-insert character that I made of myself, and at some point I was like, yeah, like I guess this character could like change gender. I guess like I think that'd be a cool thing I could do. This is before I realized. This is before I knew
Yeah.
non-binary was a thing, actually.
Right.
So, and then I was like, I guess the masculine version would be like Charlie. I guess I'll go with that, and then that just like became my name.
I think Charlie and Jackson are both excellent names in that they're so mild. You know, they're so classic. Like, they're very pleasant names, both of them.
Well, you know, at least it's not like the trope of non-binary people being named after like objects, which I love, but like at least, you know, it's just like Jackson Bird. It's just like a, you know, it's a nice name. It's like very,
It's beautiful.
It's a nice, strong name.
Yeah, strong name. And honestly, like that whole naming, like worry is like one of those things that I just am so grateful that he wrote this like so like frankly about the his experience, you know? I just I really appreciate the gift of like getting to like look a little bit into that experience.
Yeah.
Because names are so important and like how
Yeah.
stressful to have to do it for yourself.
I know, but
Yeah.
one thing I thought was very cool about Jackson's approach to the naming thing is like how involved he wanted his mom to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
I thought
cute.
that was so nice.
Well, and it's also just like it is just so nice to her, I think also.
Yeah.
Like this, you know, is a lot of parents' jobs and so like I want you to be on the board.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
naming board.
I didn't
Yes.
necessarily ask my mom for anything, but
Mm-hmm.
I did. So my middle name is Ryan, and that's what I would have been named if I was born a boy.
That's
So-
cute.
Okay.
So I was
Ryan's
like,
cute.
I like that, but I
It's
don't
kinda
want
gender
it to
neutral.
be my first name. And like, yeah,
Right.
I was like, you know what? That's gender neutral enough. Let's go with that for my middle name. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Very, very cute.
Love that.
My mom asked me for the first time in my life like 2 days ago if I like my name.
Interesting.
I was like, Mom, the word Christ is more than half of my name. I don't like love it, but it's definitely my name.
Jesus, Tina.
It's so funny that was that just out of nowhere?
I
What
feel like-
prompted that?
I feel like it was only medium out of nowhere, not like completely out of nowhere. I'm trying to
Okay.
remember. We were like sitting in her apartment's leasing office, and for some reason it just like came up.
Do you want us to call you Christ Tina now? Christina?
Hard no. I think, but that's probably why I've been introducing myself more and more as Tina lately. Just ditch the rest
Yeah.
of it.
Ditch the rest.
Grace,
Fair
do you
enough.
like your name? You also have a weirdly Christian name.
Yeah. I don't know. It's fine.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm actually gonna talk about your name right now. So the funny thing about having a friend named Grace is that you see, my grandma lives in a Catholic retirement home, so I see a lot of like language about grace. It's never it's like you know, prayers for grace or like whatever
Sure.
they do there. And we've also encountered a lot of grace books, like religious
Ugh.
books.
No.
I swear to God, I've encountered a book. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I swear to God, this happened called "Thirsting for Grace."
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
And when
not.
that came across my desk, I was like, oh man.
Oh no.
Is it Jesus or is it smut? I can't tell.
I can't tell.
Wait.
Wow.
I love that. That's just great.
Yeah, that's real. That's a little too real. Yeah, so my name's pretty versatile, you could say. So,
Yeah. I've probably told y'all about this, but like my mom nicknamed me Chuck E. Cheese now. That's
Aw.
what she calls me.
aw. Is that because you're cheesing all the time?
It's because I like Cheez-Its like a lot, okay?
Okay, all right.
They're delicious.
Yep.
So I only took 3 notes for this, so I'm gonna read that. I'm gonna read
Okay.
them. So in chapter 6, the transmasculine invisibility cloak, Jackson talks about how really god awful the queer and especially like trans representation was in his
Mhm.
childhood in Texas. In middle of
Oh,
nowhere,
yeah.
Texas. I assume everywhere in Texas is the middle of nowhere. It's just something I suspect about Texas. And he talks about how most of his like queer exposure as a kid were like really larger than life people. And he specifically mentions David Bowie, Dr. Frankenfurter, and Ezzy Izzard, which are 3 of the most theatrical people. So over the top. Dr.
Yeah.
Frankenfurter. And this is also, he talks briefly about turfdom in this chapter, which we're not gonna talk about on this chapter, but
That's
it
a
does
thing.
get it is like the, subject appropriate concept to introduce. Okay, this is my last note, and then I'll just start scrolling through our reading guide questions. But I also wrote down that he was taught that bisexuality was a myth as a kid, and that bi people simply had to choose one. And I take so much offense to that.
Yeah. And like his AP bio class or something,
Yes.
right?
Oh my god, you're right about that. Yes.
Okay.
Insane. And then also that like bi people are more susceptible to the flu.
That I have questions about.
It's because they're making out with twice as many people.
Oh my gosh.
Duh.
I like Okay, so a lot of things that like when I learned things, I just have no memory of them. I blame the ADHD for why I just don't
Okay,
remember
that's valid.
when I learned what bisexuality was or what like transgender was. But I remember in high school be kind of having like a similar experience to Jackson there where it's like, oh yeah, like I like guys, so I can't be like gay. So I guess I'm straight.
Yeah.
And like that was it
Mhm.
for like a couple years, and then I was like, oh, I guess bisexual I can like both. Okay, sure. I don't remember how I happened
Both
upon
is
like the
good.
term or that I could like both, but eventually I just I figured that out, and then
Mhm.
all my friends were also like, yeah, I'm also bi.
Yeah. It's pretty easy to be bi, let me tell you.
At a
It's
Catholic school too. At a fucking Catholic school, all the queers hung out. We all hung out like by the chapel waiting for our rides at the end of the day.
You found each other.
Yeah. And let me tell you, if bisexual people could choose one, I think a lot of the time it would just be women, right? You had
I
to
think that's
choose.
the
I mean, that
correct
would make
choice.
sense.
I could be wrong, but I think that's the correct choice.
I'm pretty sure.
I told my mom I was bisexual when I was 15 because I was mad at her and I was trying to upset her, and it was a straight up lie. When I said it, it was just a straight up lie. I was like, how can I make her as upset as possible right now? And joke's on me. Oh my god, it was true.
Joke's on you.
I'm reading. I have this adorable. Well, the book comes with reading guide questions in the back of it, and it's definitely geared toward a classroom, and it's adorable. Before the beginning of the book, lead a general discussion about gender. I love it.
Mm.
I really hope that there are a lot of teachers out there teaching this book.
Me
in
too.
like a-
I
like
was
a-
wondering about that.
Yeah, like a high school. I think it would be appropriate in like a high school English class, you know?
Yeah, I even think in like, a college gender studies
Yeah.
class, this book has a place.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we have actually had a lot of conversations about gender because I'm close friends with Grace and Charlie, so I'm just going to scroll to the next question.
Sounds right.
Gender is fake.
This one's good because it talks about sorting. In the introduction to Sorted, the author writes, growing up as someone who felt different but didn't have the words to describe or understand that difference, I was drawn to labels that could define me in other ways. What does it mean to be given or to take on a label? How is labeling a form of sorting? Are these labels helpful or important, or as the author writes, oppressive and limiting? Da da da.
I mean, I feel like they can be both.
Yeah, why not both?
Why not both?
Yeah. It's like
The thing is, no, Charlie, you go.
well, it's like that the whole trope of like, like middle grade and young adult books where it's like you got like the Divergence, the Hogwarts, the
Yeah.
Percy Jackson, like you got the whole like this is
Sort.
this is your thing. Like you're this kind of person,
This is our
you're
house
this kind
where
of person.
we are nice and dumb.
You have
and
this
scared.
personality trait and that's your thing.
Yeah. That's
Like-
literally the plot of Divergent, and she's like, what if I could have 3 personality traits? Da-na-na. And she's like, she's so cool because of that.
Guess what? Everyone's fucking divergent.
Newsflash.
So, yeah, that premise of dystopia fiction is dumb. And that's why that trend ended.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just
It trended and then it ended.
it's one of those things where it's like labels are helpful in like certain contexts and certain contexts
Yes.
they are oppressive and limiting, but like if
Yeah.
you're just trying to say in like 10 words or less who you are as a person, like labels can be
Mhm.
helpful if you're just
Yeah, well, like,
Right.
like my Instagram bio is like Hufflepuff hiker, she, her, hers, and it's like that already
Yeah,
says so much about me.
if you want
Right,
if you're
exactly.
trying to write a bio, labels are
Yeah.
like actually helpful.
Yeah, you're right about that. That's an interesting perspective. Yeah,
Yeah.
labels can be helpful in like a lot of my a lot of my friends are turning 30 and being like, well, it's probably about time I get that ADHD diagnosis. And I think
Yeah.
like that, like labels like that can be helpful because it's like, okay, let's try like treatment and maybe like try some meds. And it's like, you can only do that with this label.
Bro,
Yeah.
I got diagnosed at like age 6.
Good for you. I'm very happy for you.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. And then sometimes it's like sometimes I'm like, do I have an anxiety disorder or just regular anxiety? And it's like, in the end, does
Hmm.
that matter? Because it's
Right.
just, it's not going to change anything.
Yeah, like I still feel the way I
Still feel the way I feel. I went to like 5 therapy sessions to be like, I think I have anxiety disorder. And she was like, no, just regular. That's just regular life anxiety. And I was like, cool. Okay. Glad to know we're all like this.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah, I do really respect when every once in a while, like obviously this is a Harry Potter podcast, so this doesn't happen a lot, but every once in a while, I ask a guest, what is your Hogwarts house? And they say, I don't fucking know, or like, I don't care. And I'm like, that's really valid. Or like,
Yeah.
I think most recently, was it Zach from Belated Binge where he was like, oh, I don't even remember, Ravenclaw, let's say. And I was like, oh, do you feel like a Ravenclaw? And he was like, I don't fucking care. And I was like, wow, that's really a valid answer to that. Back in fucking 2020, we had a guest named Claire Haley who I asked what Hogwarts house they were, and they said they like invented a new one because they didn't
Oh, I
like
remember
and
that.
It was called like
I know naps were
Rumblepaw or
involved.
something. Yeah, naps were involved for sure.
Yes.
Have I
I
ever
loved
told
it.
y'all that like at one point I identified as like a slither door because I really wanted to be edgy? I know.
Wow. The edgiest combo.
Yeah.
Am I at all a Slytherin? Am I?
Doesn't matter. Labels, am I right?
Labels.
I know I recently posted maybe like 2 years ago recently and I on my Facebook and I was like, wait guys, am I a Gryffindor? And a lot of people, not a lot, but definitely some people were like, oh, it's just like whatever you feel in your heart. And definitely my one friend was like, who cares? It doesn't really
Right.
matter. It's a
You
fake thing.
you present yourself as like a Gryffindor, but you're not.
I'm a Hufflepuff and a Gryffindor rising.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, but I thought that Jackson's point about labels was a good one. You know, I think he said something like labels are meant to help our language be more representative and more, what was the actual word? You know, accurate. They're not intended to make things more confusing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like if people can find comfort in a label that they identify with, I think that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to, is like the self-sorting aspect of
Yeah.
labels. It's
Yeah.
like with a couple what's the word? Oh my god, exclusions. Wow. I was just like staring at the stop sign out my window like brain fart. We threw out his name. With a couple exclusions, you shouldn't have anyone impose a label on you. You know, like maybe like, okay, like felon, that's one that you have somebody else's imposes on you. But
We'll allow that one.
identity questions, it's like it's all that's the
Yeah.
thing, is it's like it doesn't matter what you think at all. It's like just ask people what they are and believe them when they tell you.
Yeah, like it just does not have to be more complicated than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
My mom and I have the conversation about labels quite often when I'm like, oh yeah, this person identifies this way. She's like, why are there so many labels? Can't y'all just exist? And I'm like, bro, it's
like a
about
brain rewiring thing.
Yeah, it's how you can explain yourself to people.
Yeah.
And once you know what all the words mean, it's like it's a lot easier.
Exactly. You have to like rewire your brain to just like incorporate this as part of the many majillion of things that you know how to do.
It's just adding a new word to your dictionary. That's all it is. Just add that word and you're like, cool, I got it.
And I think like a lot of people probably are like afraid of failing, you know, afraid of like getting it wrong. And that's just like you just have to always be trying, you know, and then it's like messing up doesn't matter as much.
I can understand that, because it's like when you're in the middle of like questioning yourself, you're just like, I don't want to identify in one way or the other, because like what if I'm incorrect and then I change my mind, and then like
there's a lot of that in this book.
And like people do that. It happens all the time. Like it's scary to like change your label. Hey, guess what? I changed my name. That was fucking terrifying. So like, imagine if I'd been wrong and been like, nah, I'm gonna change it again. There are people who do that. So
there are people who do that. Okay, here's a good discussion question. Thanks for letting me just read the questions at the back of this book. You know, it's my summer vacation. I'm not doing a ton of extra work. I read a book for this.
This is your summer reading.
This is my summer reading, yes. Discuss. Oh, and it's like not too late to get this book and read it for Pride Month or just for any old month. I'll link to it in the show notes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll paraphrase. When Jackson talks about his decision to, quote, give being a proper girl a shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did family and societal pressures and shame and the desire to be perceived as normal contribute to the author's prepubescent phase of presenting as a girl? So I think more broadly, just like where do like gender pressure like come from? Like what are we doing to our children?
It's like, God.
Part of it is probably God's fault. You're right about that.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot about church. Like, oh, you gotta wear like this stuff to church. God,
man,
I don't know if I necessarily like said those same things, but like I can so relate to like what Jackson said as a small child. Like,
this book made Charlie feel seen.
It does. It really does. And I'm like, I'm not even a trans guy, but I like very much understand it. I think it's just being an AFAB person. I get it so hard.
Well, and like we mentioned, like a lot of this book is almost all of this book is Jackson like pre-transition, you know?
Yeah.
Like pre-coming out. And so it's like it's mostly just like the feeling that like the female assignment is like not working out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I definitely want to hear like somebody who's trans femme like reading this and like seeing how they felt about it, or if they got anything at all out of it, because like there's similar, I would assume, like similar things, but like also way different, because it's a different set of societal norms they're going with, but it's also still the same, like I feel weird about things, I don't know what I am, like, you know. I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. And I think Jackson talked kind of a lot about, that he did have a lot of internalized like transphobia, just as like a product of where he grew up. And
Yeah. I can't imagine this kind of culture. Like we live in the South, but it's not like that here.
it's not, yeah, right.
Yeah, I wonder if things would have been different from him just growing up like in a city, like in or near a city, like you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely didn't feel it like as strongly as he did with like some of those things going on.
mhm.
I was still definitely allowed to like wear like pants or like a blazer or something to like an event because I
Blazers. So sharp on everyone.
like there were times when I like had like feminine suits kind of going on, and there were
Mhm,
times when
mhm.
I told y'all how at my middle school graduation I straight up wore like a dress with Converse, and like that was like my thing. I did that.
You said a dress
Yeah.
with Converse?
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
that's like that's what fucking Bella Swan wears to prom at the end of Twilight.
Yeah, it is. That was also like right near the Twilight phase too. I don't think it was inspired by her. I think it was more
I
inspired
don't know.
by
You don't
No, it was like the Demi Lovato song. Like I can still wear Converse with my dress. That's a line of that
See, you
song.
said Demi Lovato song, and I know you're talking about Disney, and sometimes I just am like, oh yeah, I'm like a couple years older than them, and like I can feel it,
Yeah.
Demi Lovato's just a little behind my time.
I'm gonna cry a little. It's fine.
I feel like that's what Jackson wore to all of these terrible dances that he kept going to. That was like the motif of this story is that he like kept coming back to this one dance. Does anyone remember? It was named like after
Oh,
somebody.
it was. What were you talking about? Like the Harry Potter like LeakyCon dance?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to that, in fact, because I went
That
to
dance?
LeakyCon.
What?
Because
Tell
like,
us about it.
because like that's like the dance like in LeakyCon. I met a couple Harry Potter nerds at it, who were younger than
surprise,
me.
Surprise.
Younger than me, making friends. So
Wow.
like, imagine that. But yeah, like some people dress up, some people don't. I just wore like jeans. I wore a sweatshirt because I was a dumbass. And I was like dying.
I respect that phrasing.
I wore like a binder, a t-shirt, and a sweatshirt, and I was dying.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So
you needed a blazer in that moment.
yeah. Well, I didn't have anything. I don't think I had anything that was like dressy per se for the occasion.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just I don't know. I didn't feel the same pressure that he did for like certain events to like
Mhm.
dress up in dresses. Like
Uh-huh.
that I feel like that ended pretty early on for me. Like maybe around like middle school I like stopped caring about like dresses. It was like I'm
Mhm.
just going to wear like nice pants and like a blouse. And like I hated
Yeah.
the flats. The shoes God, I hate dressy shoes. I don't know how y'all feel about things because
Grace, this bitch can rock a heel.
I love to rock a heel. I gotta
Grace
say.
can wear heels like it's no big deal for so long. It's incredibly impressive.
I'm dying inside, but
the only heels I've worn are boots. So
boot heels is the secret.
I do like those.
That's
Yeah.
when they're not that bad. I've learned I'm a tall person and I weigh a lot.
really?
So I've learned that like a chunky heel got to keep the base of the trunk of my tree sturdy.
mm,
Big old chunky heel.
yeah.
I just flipped open to the page where Jackson, oh my god, it's when he was doing like a exchange or whatever and he's like questioning his gender and he asked his roommate, "Hey, have you heard of," I squinted back down at the webpage I was reading from, GLBT. She stared at me, probably trying to decide how to patiently respond to my utter lack of knowledge. Yes, but I usually call it LGBT. And I love that so much. I love that she was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And then was like, "Respond respectfully."
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Yeah. Have you not heard of gay lettuce, bacon, tomato?
Man, question 5 asks about bras.
Yeah, those are a
Oh.
thing.
Bras are like, wow. We should maybe have like a proper bra wearer on this because I don't.
Yeah.
I wear training bras.
I certainly don't need
But
anything very serious.
there are some people in our friend group who, let's just say, need a bra, you know.
Require, yeah.
like for like health purposes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
bras are a thing that exists.
Yeah. How did wearing a bra make Jackson feel marked as one of the girls?
I mean,
There's that bit where his friend like oh my god, they're hanging out with a bunch of friends and like one of the dudes is like looking at him, you know, like checking out.
yeah,
Because he's
tank
just wearing
top.
like a cami.
The
Yeah.
tank top, yeah.
Fuck that feeling for starters.
Yeah.
God.
Great, we were friends and now I'm just a sexual object to you.
I don't know if I'm just like, I just don't notice these things, but I just don't notice when people check me out. Maybe that's just like me not wanting to notice, or me just being oblivious.
I just make a lot of noise, so people are always looking at me, and I'm like, look at all these people checking me out.
Yeah, I don't know. Bras, they be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So, at some point in my life, I was like, yeah, I want to have, like, okay boobs. And I'm just like, nope.
I have heard that they're a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
On page 50, Jackson says, I want to believe that kids are born without judgment and that gender variance seems natural to them. But I suppose the prejudice of the world can seep in at a very early age. What are examples of prejudices and attitudes that seep into children as they develop? I feel like I actually already asked this question, but it's worded differently here.
Oh, just because this question is reminding me of a situation. So I used to work at the movie theater, and I got a couple different kids who asked me, "Are you a boy or a girl?"
Mm.
And I just responded, "Does it matter?"
Both?
Mhm.
Both. Why not both?
And then, like, I don't know if they heard me or if their parents heard me, but, like, they left.
Mhm.
Damn.
They
Just
pieced out.
was ignored. My answer was ignored.
It doesn't fucking matter.
It doesn't.
And that's the truth of it. I think Grace and I run into this sometimes when we're editing books, that a lot of the times authors are like, oh, there's like, in this car is like a driver, and then in the next car it's a female driver. You know what I mean?
All the time this happens.
It happens literally all the time.
Yeah.
It's never like, and behind that one, a male driver. No, it's always like, you know, there was, and especially if you're doing something like, there was like a fisher, there was two fishermans and then a lady fisher, and it's like, obviously that's not working for
Lady
anyone.
Fisher. Fisher
People
lady.
always tell you, if they're in books, if it's like 5 guards ran in, 2 of them were women. Like, it's literally
It's like,
always
okay.
like that.
Why?
And I'm like, you know what you call a female guard?
You call her a guard.
You call them a guard. The fact that she's female in this moment where the king is being held at sword point does not matter.
Could not
Unless she
matter
has a
less.
speaking
She's
role,
guarding.
who cares?
And like, if you just use the right pronouns, like,
Then,
that's
like,
fine. You're
right.
fine. You're fine.
It doesn't have to be like explicitly pointed out. I don't understand. I do, and it does happen so consistently, and I'm like, what is that about? Why is that like the instinct?
Gender man. Why?
It's because this is why it can be harmful to only assign like classics to kids, because of the way they use language. It's like, if you talk about more contemporary books with your kid, with like your students or your kids or whatever, then you're exposing them to like our more up to date and like inclusive and understanding way of using language as a whole, you know?
Yeah.
So back in like Agatha Christie books, you better believe if one of the guards is female, we need to talk about that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's talk about how Jackson came out like so slowly over the second half of the book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like so much of it is him first of all, you know, trying to figure it out himself, trying to come out to himself.
Yeah.
I was like thinking about how we talk about how Ron Weasley is always like the last one to know what he's going through, and I kind of like felt that same energy with Jackson trying.
I agree.
At least from like this perspective, where it's like we know he's trans all along,
Right.
But it's like I don't know. So much of it, I was like, just try it, like just try it out. I think you'd really like it.
Yeah.
Try it. You'll like it.
You'll like it.
Yeah, I thought that Jackson's situation was obviously unique in that. Sorry, I have a cough drop. If you can hear that, I'm so sorry.
You can't hear it. You're doing great.
Okay, great. But the fact that he had this sort of YouTube platform, I think that made the coming out process,
Like complicated.
yeah, like a little more complicated, because it's not like he had a choice.
Mhm.
Like he already had this following,
Yeah.
and it's not like he could just transition without any explanation.
Right.
And so it's like he was sort of put in this position where, like, you know, he had to.
He had to collaborate with a social media planner to
Yeah.
like make it right.
Yeah, which is like really interesting, but I also think that it was very cool, because I think that probably helped a lot of people.
Mhm.
The fact that, you know, they were able to watch his video and, you know, and see that.
Yeah.
So I think it was good, but I can't imagine how difficult that was, though.
Yeah. He made a spreadsheet with
Yeah.
who he was coming out to when. That is so.
And didn't he also have like a packet that he
Yeah,
like
yeah, he made a
distributed?
packet. Wait, I respect.
I respect that
Wow.
too, because, like, you know, I'm sure you're answering like so many of the same baseline questions with like every person that you
Grace,
talk to.
That's why I'm writing this book about publishing right now, so that we can just stop repeating ourselves. I'm like, I'm gonna write it down one time really good, and you
my
guys are gonna stop asking me.
It's gonna save
everything.
us so much time.
Oh,
So I respect the hell out of a packet. Like, this is your intake paperwork.
Yes.
I wish I'd had stuff like that. Like I'm jealous of like the spreadsheet, especially. Just like I gotta tell these people before I like just put it on social media and shit.
And I did also think it was because I'm an overthinker too, and Jackson is admittedly an overthinker.
Wow, evidently.
And so, you know, he really thought a lot about like the ripple effect of coming out, and like,
Mhm.
you know, how it was going to affect the people that he went to high school with, and like the people that, you know, just like generally that like he interacted with, family members, friends, whatever. And so, like, you know, the fact that he went about it so methodically, it's like that is the strategy that I can relate to so much,
Yeah.
to like get through something like that, to have like a system. I thought that was like so relatable.
Yeah. Honestly, this is just a great example of a creator taking their platform really responsibly too. You know, it's
Yeah.
like he really thought about, like you mentioned, how it would affect everyone, his big network and his following online. And it's just, you know, he's like, here's some resources, and it's just nice. I love seeing responsible use of platform.
Me too. Love to see it.
Yeah, just like the way
But-
that he like thought about like all these little things, how it would affect like his family and like all of these little dynamics, and I'm just like, I thought about that like a little bit, and then I was just like, yeah, I don't really care enough. Honestly, I just want to just exist as me.
Yeah.
At this point,
Yeah.
I just like stopped caring
Yeah.
about that.
I think that's good though,
Yeah.
Yes.
because you simply cannot go around caring that much all the time.
Right. Exactly.
Like I cared like when I was telling like I think my parents,
Yeah.
and like a little bit with my grandparents, and then I just like slowly cared less and less and less about like what people thought and cared.
Everything that you care about, you will eventually slowly care less.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just like
circle
this,
of life.
This doesn't affect shit, but also the fact that y'all are just gonna keep dead naming / dead. I was about to say like dead pronouncing. That's not a thing.
Wait, I feel like it should be.
It should be.
Yeah, that's real.
Oh, it's called misgender.
Yeah,
There's
misgender.
already a word for it. There's already a word.
I failed at being transgender this one time. But yeah.
Well, and I think it's funny that Jackson talked about how his one coming out fuck up was just sending like a very casual email to his brother, and his brother
yeah.
was like, "I'm flying down there." But even that was like still pleasant because it's like, yeah, we bonded and I explained it and he felt better.
And didn't his brother like wildly misinterpret? Or
yeah,
I
it was-
can't
it was
remember.
weird how his brother misinterpreted it.
I think he was just like, "Whoa, you need to explain yourself."
Yeah, because he was like, "Why can't you just like express yourself like these other people?
Right.
Why do you have to like
Yes.
go all out and change everything?"
Yeah, like he just kind of misunderstood
Yeah,
the whole thing. Yeah, but it sounded like that ended up being a really good experience
Yeah.
in the end.
Yeah, I feel like Jackson was just like, I've really like, trust me when I say that I've really thought about this and I'm like
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
sure about this and I
Yeah.
just need your support.
I like that his family was all good about things.
Yeah.
I like
honestly,
that.
pretty much it seemed. And like, how about those friends who helped him get his first short haircut? in
God.
Rhode
That was, I think
Island?
that was my
So
favorite
good.
part of the book. We haven't
Yeah.
talked about
Fucking
like our
good.
favorite parts, but I loved that. What, like Lori and Matt or Lauren and Matt or something?
Yeah, something
Yeah,
like that.
so
They were so,
so Lauren,
nice.
also a Harry Potter creator who I saw at LeakyCon, Lauren Fairweather.
Nice.
She does
Ooh.
YouTube
That's
videos.
awesome. And all of
Yeah.
this, okay, so I'm going to be linking a bunch of stuff in the blog post that I'm going to put in the show notes for this episode, including that creator and any I don't know, anything we've talked about today, any of like the resources we've used. And I also want to include just like a couple resources. We were talking about like the packet that Jackson came out with and stuff
Mhm.
like that. And I know there's resources like that online, so I'll link some of those.
There's also
in the
several
blog post
links
as
in
well.
this book where he's just like, hey, if you want more
Yeah,
information
that's
on
true.
this,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
here's where I got stuff. Like, look up this. The fact that he, like, cites sources in the fucking book.
I respect
Love it.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, he must be a Ravenclaw, right? I can't
He's a
remember what house
Gryffindor.
he says he is. A
Gryffindor.
Gryffindor.
He was like,
Proudly Gryffindor.
he was like, oh, I'm a Ravenclaw when he was a kid. And then he's like, nah, apparently I'm a Gryffindor.
Everyone thinks they're a Ravenclaw, I feel like,
I-
at the beginning.
I've never thought of Ravenclaw.
Well, that's because you don't have enough self-confidence. When
Thanks.
I was in high school, I was like, I'm the smartest person here, and I'm definitely a Ravenclaw, and I even had a shirt, but I'm not a Ravenclaw.
There's some Ravenclaw there.
See, I'm the person who will actually, but like I don't. I also don't have the self confidence to be like, I know better. What were we talking about before you went off?
I found the name of it. It's the Esther Earl Charity Ball.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
That's what we were talking about probably 20 minutes ago.
yeah. Oh, but so about the haircut.
The haircut.
Oh,
his
right.
haircut was great.
Good job. You
I
brought
lo-
it back around.
I love that. I also went through a hair journey. I'm just gonna keep bringing up my stuff.
Do it.
Bring up all your stuff.
Just this is actually like the Charlie's trans experience episode. If you didn't realize,
Sorted,
so-
Charlie's trans experience.
so I used to have my hair all the way down to like my butt crack. It was like long
Whoa.
shit. You
So
see how
long.
short it is now?
Wow.
Yeah.
I could have done such a good braid on it.
I've never known how to braid. My mom didn't know how to braid. I didn't know how to braid. It was not well taken care of. I didn't know what to do with it.
When
Wow.
did you chop it?
In like middle school, I started doing like locks of love where I would like cut it down to like my shoulders and then it
Yeah.
would like make some wigs and then I would grow it back out again. And I did that a couple times over.
Uh-huh.
And then like in college is when I started experimenting with different haircuts because I was like, I don't know. I want to try something out different. I got like a little bit shorter, a little bit more layered. And then it slowly
Mhm.
just kept getting shorter and shorter as I started to figure out gender things. I did not think I would ever get to be this short where it's like almost, it was, when I first got this haircut, it was like almost down to like the skin. So
Yeah.
It's a high and tight.
Never thought I'd get it this
Is that what
short.
they're called?
Uh,
Because it's high and tight. Did I make that up? Is that real?
I don't know. It's a fade. That's what I got. It's a fade.
It looks great. I love it a lot.
It
It has
looks
a lot
really
of
good.
character.
So do I.
But I did think it was interesting, like Jackson's experience getting the haircut. Obviously, he
Yeah.
like traveled to like go to someone who would actually do what he wanted, because all these hairdressers were like,
Nah.
you don't really want that.
I love that
That's so
he
true.
says if you have the choice between like cunty mom, cunty Karen soccer mom, or little boy, go for little boy.
I agree.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
That's just like really a thing with hairdressers. Like y'all know how bad I am at like things and talking to people.
I guess I do.
I'm a podcaster and I'm bad at talking to people, but like when I go to get my hair cut, I'm bad at being like, no, I want it shorter. No, can you get
Right.
it more like this?
God,
So-
even I'm bad. I feel like I'm bad at that. Like it's a
That's
hard.
one of the hardest
one of
ones,
the
I
hardest
think.
Yeah, but it's been
There's a Bob's Burgers bit about that, obviously.
it's been so great since my old coworker who used to deliver pizzas with me, she's now a hairdresser, like an actual official hairdresser.
nice.
So I just like say, hey, like, can you cut my hair? And then I like went over to her house at like 9:00 at night, and she cut my hair. It's
That's
great.
awesome. That's really awesome.
Yeah,
That's
that
good
is
shit.
awesome.
And then I can actually talk to someone about what I want.
It's very important. I just cut my own bangs, and we figure it out together.
Oh
You
dear.
and your bangs.
Yeah. So it's about time to wrap it on up. Before we go, I was wondering who was y'all's favorite person in this book who wasn't like your favorite non-Jackson person?
Great question.
I need like a list of characters.
Really good question. I'm gonna keep complimenting the question.
Yeah,
Um,
there weren't like a bunch of named extra characters.
Ooh.
Like you get to know his family a little bit. I really liked the book ends with him going to his high school reunion.
Yeah.
uh-huh.
And like basically being like scared and then being like, I'm not gonna be scared anymore. And
Yeah.
he talks about how like he had like a little support group of friends and they all went together. And
So which
like,
one of those friends is your favorite?
No, they're all my favorite.
No,
He, like,
no, that
he
doesn't
like
count,
left his
Christina.
he left his glasses in the car and they walked back with him. They're like, we're not
Yes.
leaving your side. Like, we got you on this. And I just love all of them.
That's cheating your own
friends.
question.
The real answer to this question was the friends we made along the way.
Aw.
I was gonna say maybe his roommate. Like I like that she was supportive about things. She's just like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not gonna kick you out. Like I understand that you're like trans and all that. Like it's cool. I'm gonna help
Yeah.
you like figure some things out and like
How scary for Jackson that he even worried about that, you know?
I know. Yeah. I'll go with Mom, just because
Yeah, Mom was good.
you know, she was there from day one, and I
Yeah.
felt like maybe she had some missteps, but overall I feel
had a
like
journey
did
as
pretty
well.
good, so.
Yeah, she had a journey. The waistcoat thing does really tickle me.
It does.
And I love that Jackson like came out to his mom like they were like prosecco drunk together on the couch and he kept like trying to say it and then like I love it so much. It felt very like Gilmore Girlsy to me.
Yeah, I see that.
That's kind of the end of it. Do either of you have anything that you want to like drive home or like any final thoughts about Sorted by Jackson Bird?
I mean, I'm just going to reiterate to listen to the audiobook. I think that it's really cool and special when authors narrate their own books. And I think this is a particularly good one to listen to. So if you haven't read it yet, or if you want to read it again in an audio form, do it.
Yeah, hell yeah.
yeah.
Well, are we ready to move on to plugs?
Oh goodness.
Sure.
Plugs.
Yeah, and I'm gonna make you do Pride Month plugs, so it's got to be something queer. Charlie, where can people listen to your dulcet tones?
Oh, well, thank you. As mentioned earlier in this podcast, I have my podcast Of the Eldest Gods, which is Percy Jackson related shit. We're gonna be on the Titan's Curse by the time this soon by the time this comes out. And then I also have my other podcast with my mom, Fandom's Gone Wrong, where we just, we talk about media and things that we like. It's good shit. And where am I? I have to remember my spiel. I'm at Green Pixie 12 most places, except for Twitter, where I'm at Green Pixie 123. I have
Fine.
I have my drawing Instagram at Green Pixie Draws, and I have my YouTube that's at Charlie Mack, Mack.
What's your Pride Month plug, baby?
You know what? I am technically not caught up yet as you're listening to this podcast, but I hopefully will be by the time this comes out. But The Owl House had the season 2 finale recently, and
Oh yeah.
I might have looked up spoilers already, but that's really good, and that's pretty queer. It's got a fucking non-binary character in it, so like, and also the main character is bi, and her girlfriend
Nice.
is a lesbian. So like, we got some good shit in there. You like magic shit. You like magical school shit that also kind of blatantly makes fun of Harry Potter at some points. Watch The Owl House. Like, they have a sorting system, and they have a game that they play that's like Quidditch, but they're like, they make fun of the snitch. Like, legit make fun of the snitch. It's great.
Nice.
Thank you so much for that recommendation. Grace, where can people find you and or maybe like Wildling?
Yes.
Ooh.
Whenever I plug anything, it's gonna be Wildling Press. Yeah, so follow Wildling Press, at Wildling Press, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, question mark?
Yeah.
We're
Sure.
It is okay, sure. Anyway, connect with us. Come check us out. Man, and I just want to note, if we ever have a book like Sorted come across our desks, that will be the day.
Oh, yeah.
Would be so happy.
Yeah, we would love to publish something like this.
I'll come
This
out with
would
my
be
memoir
amazing.
next.
Yes. Yes. So, if you're listening to this episode, obviously you're interested in transgender memoirs. So I have another one that I have read that I would like to recommend to you. It's by Janet Mock, and it's called Redefining Realness. And it's been some time since I read it, but it was really informative for me, and I think that it's a really good representation of a person of color's experience as a transgender woman, and yeah, I definitely recommend it, so check it out.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm your host, Christina, and you know where to find me. Just click on my, what's it called? Linktree? My
Yeah.
Linktree's always in the show notes. I'm just going to throw out some names of some of my favorite queer books I've read. I don't know until I say too many books. Okay, I recently read The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune, which is very fun. That's like magic children in a little magic orphanage. And it's gay. 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid was very pleasant, very surprising. Scroll. Iron Widow by Ziran J. Zhao is a very cool, like, sci-fi. I think a lot of people have plugged on this podcast before, but it's got some poly stuff. It's like a sci-fi, like, Power Rangers Milan situation. I'm rereading I'm rereading Fun Home by Alison Bechdel, a family
yeah.
tragic comic. That one's a classic.
Yeah.
It's a graphic novel. I pretty much recommend it to everyone. There's Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McKinston, which is like a very spicy little rom-com. And then finally, I'm going to recommend Nimona by N.D. Stevenson. It's another graphic novel. It's like a cute little fantasy situation. It's hard to explain. Anyway, read all of those books and reach out if you want more queer lit recommendations for Pride Month, because I got them.
We like that queer
I
shit
read
over here.
I like that queer shit. I just read a lot, and I pretty much am not interested in books that don't have queer representation anymore.
I think that's good.
Yeah, for sure.
Very valid. Love that.
Yeah. Read new books. Read new books by cool new authors. And that's the way the news goes. I don't know how to end episodes. Oh, wait, I forgot to say, Charlie, thank you for coming on this episode. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you for letting me make you read a book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you,
actually,
Charlie.
yeah, literally
for bringing this
anytime.
book to us.
But now you have to read Nimona because that's the book I gave.
I
you.
know. We're gonna do a book club, you and me.
Book club.
That's it.
Hell yeah. And Grace, thank you for also reading a book for us.
Man, I had so much fun.
We always ask people to read books, but it's usually very slowly, one book over a whole year. So asking someone to read a book just for one day feels like a lot. So I appreciate you.
Of course. Any old time.
And that's the way the news goes. The Restricted section is a member of the Movie Night Crew Network, which features other amazing podcasts such as its namesake, The Movie Night Crew, which is an extra chaotic podcast featuring the gang just shooting the shit about whatever movie they just watched.
Alrighty.
It's movie night.
Grab your popcorn,
Grab your coffee.
Grab your friend.
Grab a cat.
Let's go.
who directed this?
What year did it come out?
Is that girl from that show?
Who wrote this?
Where's the cat?
Who would you rather bang?
Pass the popcorn.
Does this pass the Bechdel test?
What about the Steve Buscemi test?
Does a woman literally speak in this movie?
Oh my god, a dog.
This reminds me of in Harry Potter when...
Are we recording?
What did the critics say?
It's a guilty pleasure.
What's your rating?
Can you be quiet?
Oh my god.
Movie Night Crew.
It's just like watching movies with your friends.
And then arguing about it after.
Every Sunday, wherever you get podcasts.
The Restricted section was created by me, Christina Kahn, based on the book series by J.K. Rowling. All music by Ryan Kahn. Logo by Michael Hardison. Support us on patreon.com/restricted section. For as little as $1 a month, you can gain access to our Discord community server, which is a really happy place to be. And there are other rewards as well, such as bonus episodes and Zoom happy hour hangouts. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Restricted Section Pod, on Twitter at Restricted Pod, and on Facebook at Restricted Section Pod. Also, feel free to shoot us an email at restrictedsectionpod@gmail.com to share your thoughts, feelings, complaints, conspiracy theories, or even lavish praise.
I was just like, I don't know how to take notes on like someone's life. So I was like, I can't. I'm just gonna go with vibes.
That movie sucked.
I kind of liked it.
Movie Night Crew Network.